Hey, I'm Mr. Leeds.
And I'm James Youel.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. On this week's show, we're going to be talking about how you can buy property with no money down. Now, no money down deals are probably the most controversial thing.
They don't exist, Russell, apparently.
Well, there you go. They are the most controversial type of deal that I've ever known. It's the sort of deal when you tell people you're doing a no money down deal, it actually annoys people.
It annoys ball bags who don't believe that they exist, I think.
Is that you? Are you a ball bag?
No, I know they exist. I've done them several times. But you get a lot of people, don't you, that are just like, no, there's no such thing as a no money down deal. And there definitely is. I've done it myself. They are more difficult to find, though.
Yeah.
And probably these people just can't find them. So rather than just admit, I can't find them, they'll just go, oh, no, they don't exist.
I think it's easier just to dismiss it and say, oh, they don't exist, rather than trying to actually go and do the type of deals yourself as well. I think that there's definitely people that just almost get annoyed. It's almost angered by it, almost like it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and that's like anybody who's not a landlord is usually angry at landlords because we've got a nice, easy life, within reason. Oh, it looks like we've got an easy life on paper anyway, so...
100%. Yeah. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about the two types of strategies that are brilliant strategies that most people talk about when they're talking about no money down deals. So the first is rent to rent. So rent to rent is a common strategy people always talk about, and rent to rent is a brilliant model. Basically, what you're doing is you are renting a property from somebody else, and then you're renting it out again, but for a higher amount, using a creative strategy such as HMOs, social housing, service accommodation. That's the type of deal it is. So I tell you who does this very, very well. Most hotels. Subletters. Yeah, subletting. It's illegal.
It's subletting.
Yeah, most hotels do this.
Yeah.
So most hotels,
is it Travelodge or Premier Inn, one of them, don't they?
Premier Inn do it. They also own their own buildings. They do a mixture, but some of their buildings, they don't own them. They rent them. It's a commercial lease. And then they rent it out room by room.
Well, they're purposely built as a Premier Inn or Travelodge.
Yeah, it's a commercial building, so it's designed to be. So they'll let people know. So let's say you were a commercial developer.
Yes.
You would know that Premier Inn were looking for a hotel in a given area. You would then buy it, you would build it specifically to lease it to them on, let's say, a 20-year lease. And from your point of view, it's guaranteed income. Yeah. From their point of view, it's...
I'm guessing that lease is in place before they actually build it. What would you do if then they pulled out?
Well, you'd probably have to do it to another hotel, wouldn't you? But yeah, I would imagine that it's going to be... Ben, who's our business partner, has been involved in similar types of deals for places like Starbucks. So the Starbucks will let you know. They'll say, right, we want to put a Starbucks here. You'll then find a piece of land.
There's a few of them popping up as well in the Starbucks at the minute.
Yeah.
Seen a couple in UK.
You'll pitch Starbucks. The funny thing is, there's one or two. I actually saw one in America, actually.
Really?
Well. Really, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
They are branching out.
They are.
Costa or Starbucks?
It's actually an actual Starbucks.
No, do you prefer Costa or Starbucks?
Which do I prefer? I mean, Starbucks are... probably Starbucks, but I like both.
Yeah, I like Costa.
Do you?
I prefer Costa, yeah.
Costa man.
Yeah, I think it's a bit stronger tasting.
It's definitely a bit bitterer.
Yeah, I prefer that with coffee.
How's this? This is Costa
Beans. That's decent, actually, that, yeah.
It's Costa Beans.
Yeah, I can tell. It's nice.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you.
That's... It's a method that a lot of companies use, which is fine. But you're right. As soon as individuals do it, it's subletting. Can't do that.
Yeah.
However, we're not
still people today think it's subletting, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, how long's it been happening now? And still, people will say that's subletting, isn't it? You're like, have you been hiding under a rock?
Well, I think if you're not in this world, you're probably not as aware as we are.
Yeah, but still, some landlords. I mean, like you'll know yourself when students are ringing them up for company lets, and the landlord's like, "No, that's subletting."
Yeah.
Like, what? Where have they been?
I know.
Such a great model.
It is a great model. However, what we said we were going to talk about today is actually buying property. And we went to rent. Great way of making lots of money. Great way of making thousands of pounds a month. But you're not actually buying the property. Mm-hmm. The other big strategy that a lot of people talk about is deal selling. Again, it's a brilliant strategy. If you've got no money, you're getting started in property, deal selling is phenomenal. Basically just finding a deal, packaging it up and selling it to an investor. Fantastic strategy. You can make thousands of pounds. But again, you're not actually owning any property. So I thought we'd do a bit of a different one this week. And rather than talking about the stuff that everyone talks about, rent-to-rent, deal selling, how do you actually buy property
When you skin.
When you skin. So you're gaining from capital appreciation.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us an example of maybe a property you've bought when you've either got no money or you haven't got the money for the deal and you've still managed to buy property using none of your own money?
None of my own money. Yeah, I mean, obviously now I do buy properties with my own money, but I still buy properties with investors' money. And when I first started and I had no money and I was skin, I bought properties with investors' money. I've done it several times. We've just got another one set up now that we're collecting the keys on Monday, completion day, finally. This is another one, so the investors put the entire funds in. But I've said it before, with deals like this, yes, they are harder to find because it's not going to be good enough just for one person. Like, you've said it before, you could literally just blindly go into an estate agency, point at a property, and you're probably not going to lose money on it. But for you to earn money on it and the investor to earn money on it, and sometimes have to pay the bridging company back as well on top of all this, you've got to be able to find a deal that's absolutely banging, that you would be mad not to buy. Because then there's going to be enough meat on the bones to pay the bridging company, the investor, and you all from this one deal. So you've got to bring one or two things to the table in these setups, and that's either the cash, and then you just sit at home doing nothing, or everything else. And you've got to decide which one you're going to be. And obviously, if you're skin, you've got to bring everything else. So you've got to bring the complete packaged up deal as if you're going to sell it, but you're selling it with yourself in it. So it's almost, you're packaging it up almost as if you're going to sell it to an investor. Ready. But when they are interested in it, you'll say, oh, by the way, I come with a deal. I will do X, Y, Z, A to Z, and you'll just sit at home and enjoy the rewards. And we've done this again and again, and it can be done, it is more difficult.
So do you want to give us an example of one of these deals that you've done? Real life case study?
Real life, recent or a while ago?
Maybe an early one?
An early one. So we did a little 6-bed, 6 ensuite. The investor bought it for cash, which we paid $170 for it. No stamp duty because it was uninhabitable. And then we put a refurb in it, quite a light refurb, this one actually. I think we put about 32,000 into it in total. So the investor had got in, by the time we'd done with legals and things like that, it got just less than like 210.
And they put the whole thing in?
Everything in, yeah. And they could literally stay at home and do nothing. Although you will find that a lot of these investors want to be on site, they want to get involved, they want to, be doing the interesting things like picking out furniture and seeing the build and seeing where the money's going, which is understandable.
Is that a bit annoying? Like if you're trying to do it up and I want that furniture, you're like, just...
As long as you meet in the middle. If they're totally unreasonable, then that will be annoying. But, I think most of the time the investor's going to leave you to it anyway. That's why they're investing in these deals.
Not just buying it themselves.
Exactly. But I do like them to come throughout the build. They don't have to, but I like them to because then they can see how much work's going into it for a start, but then they can also have a little bit of input on it as well. So I've got a clear vision on what I'm going to do with this, or I did with that property, but to get the investor involved and let them make a few of the smaller decisions they like.
I've never allowed investors to do that.
Have you not?
No.
Really?
No, really. It's interesting.
Wow. So you just shut the door, bolt it from the inside, and they can't come in until it's finished?
No, I've let them come and see it.
Yeah.
But I've never let them have like a say in how it works or how we're gonna decorate it, or it's just this is what we're doing. Do you want to invest in our deal?
Okay. So
I'm not saying you're always wrong. Yeah. It's just interesting.
Yeah. It's just little things like colours and carpets and things. To be honest, you'll always try and get them to see the way you were looking at it from anywhere. But I think it's good to get them involved a little bit if they want to get involved. But then I've had investors where they just literally want to sit at home and do nothing, or they're busy at work, which is fine either way. But I like when they come because then, imagine, it's never happened and I hope it never will, but imagine if when you completed the job, They came to it and were like, what are you doing? I don't like this, I don't like that, that's wrong, this, and this.
They haven't got anything, have they?
No, usually no.
As long as the valuer didn't say that.
Yeah,
what on earth?
Yeah, they'll not complain when the valuation comes in higher than we've promised them.
At the end of the day, they put the money in. That's all they care about, right?
Yeah.
So this deal. So you put in. Sorry, how much did they
So we put in about just less than 210 by the time we're done with refurb.
And they put the whole lot in.
Everything in, yeah.
You refurbed it. You
Yes.
did everything. No bridging. Nothing.
No bridging. No.
How much was it worth at the end?
We got it. We got a GDV at 275, I think it was.
275.
Yeah.
So you refinanced
and
it.
We refinanced it. Yeah, we didn't pull the full 75% out because we didn't need to. Because I always tell the investor that I'll guarantee them their full money back within 2 years of refinance. So after the refinance, they're on a minimum of 50% ROI. So they get the full money back in 2 years.
So then you pay them the rent, basically.
Yeah, but that's ideally with me splitting the rent with them, because obviously I want to get paid from it as well. So when we're splitting the rent, I'm making sure that whatever they take out, the rent split they get will get them their full investment back in a minimum of 2 years, and they continue to own the property with me forever and a day.
So you just basically, you pay them back everything you can from the refinance. Mm-hmm. You then look at, okay, how much money are we going to make for the rent? How much do I owe them?
Yeah.
I'll just make sure I pay them that. And whatever's left over, I'll take out for the first 2 years.
No, we still split it 50-50.
What about if it wasn't going to pay them back after 2 years, though?
Then I've got a clause in there, which I've never had to exercise, but there is a clause in there that if I wasn't going to get them their money back in that 2 years, they get a 75% rent share profits. I take 25%, and I have to fully manage it, and I have to do any maintenance that's within my skill set.
Until they're paid back.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if I get them back on track.
I could say that about the maintenance within my skill set for all my deals. I could say, I will guarantee that I personally will go on site.
You studied as an electrician, didn't you?
I didn't qualify there.
Well,
I only did level 2. That's the great thing about being an electrician. You just normally if you were level 2 bricky, they'd go on.
Yeah, go on.
Have
Have a
build
go.
the wall, mate.
Have a go.
Electrician, it's like legally, mate. I can't.
Well, that said, I mean, my gas exams have run out. My gas qualifications have run out now, so I wouldn't even be able to take a case off a boiler. Plumbing wise, obviously, I can. And then it comes to a lot of general building stuff.
Actually, I regret saying that because I'd end up having to drive all the way up there to change light bulbs and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never included that clause in any of
No,
mine.
I mean, I include it, but I hope. And I should imagine I'll never have to exercise it, but it's there just for peace of mind for the investor.
Do you know you talk about having to have a great deal where there's plenty of meat on the bone? Right, let me tell you about my first deal because it wasn't a great deal. There wasn't plenty of meat on the bone and it was still a no money down deal for me. Right,
Okay.
So I bought a masonette.
Yeah.
And it was 72 grand. I bought it for.
When?
I don't know, I was about 20.
Right.
So 72 grand. I didn't need any money spending on it. It was just a flat. It was just a rental.
How many bedrooms?
2.
Okay.
2 bedrooms. So I was in Hensford near Cannock, near where I lived. So I bought 72 grand. It's just a rental. Had a tenant already in. Still there today.
Really?
All those years on. Correct.
23 years on.
Hold on. I'm not 43.
Aren't you?
You know full well that I'm not 43. So I know that I look 23. Yeah, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I wonder how old do you think? Have a guess, right? Look at us both, because we're actually a very similar age, aren't we?
We are. Is there one year?
Give it away. I think
there's 1 or 2 years in, isn't
So
there?
have a guess in the comments. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you're going to have to judge it by our voices, which can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But if you're watching it, have a comment below. Who's older, first of all, because one of us is slightly older.
Yeah.
And how old do you think we look? Anyway, back to this deal, right? So it just wasn't a great deal. It was just a normal buy to let. However,
So you went in the estate agents like this and went,
it was just a house, right? I was just like, that one. So I used a mortgage and then I borrowed the money for an investor for the deposit.
Okay.
Just on a 10% return.
Did you 25% it?
I didn't know.
Oh, I knew it. I knew this. You put 10% down saying you were going to live in it, didn't you?
What? James, how dare you accuse me of
And I'm the northerner, the straight guy who keeps putting the 25% in. You southerners are supposed to be.
Don't say that I'm not the straight guy.
Well, I don't mean that. I mean, you're supposed to be more on the straight and narrow than us northerners.
Right. Anyway, mate, I'm a kid, man. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, fine.
So I paid the investor back out of the rent.
Okay.
And the mortgage out of the rent. I made no money on it, granted.
Yeah.
For about 6 years.
How much did you borrow off the investor then? About?
It's about 15
all
grand,
in, yeah.
something like that.
And how much were it renting for?
It was renting for 480.
Okay.
Mortgage was 190 quid a month. Paid the investor back with the rest. That was it, man.
Okay.
Really, I didn't make any money from it.
Yeah.
But it's gone up in value. It's now worth like 100 grand more.
I'm guessing you've paid the investor off by now.
Oh yeah, paid the investor off.
Yeah.
It took about 5 years.
So how much is it making you now?
Now, it's, I don't know, not a lot. 600 quid a month, 500 quid a month.
What's it worth?
It's worth about 140. It's fine.
70 grand.
But I bought a house.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
With no money.
Accidental mini wealth.
There you go. Now, I also did another one with an investor, but it was more similar to yours. So this was crazy because I literally did nothing. So I got approached by someone like you. Imagine this, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine you approach someone and like this kind of deal that you, very, very similar actually. You own it 50-50, don't you?
Yes.
I got approached like that for a deal, and even better than your deal because they were putting half the money in. They wanted half the money.
Can't be that good a deal then.
It was a banger. Right,
Okay.
120 grand.
Yeah.
3-story terraced house. It was being rented out as like a HMO type thing, but floor by floor.
Right.
So the idea was we convert it into 3 apartments.
A HMO type thing.
Well, it was like
alarm bells.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. We turned it into 3 flats.
Yeah.
Spent 50 grand on it.
Okay.
Turning it into 3 flats, 80 grand each, 240. Pulled all the money out.
Nice.
So someone approached me with this, right? But I just invested in something else. I had no money, I had no cash just a few years ago. And I was like, oh, it's really annoying. So I went to an investor and I said, hey, I only need to put in 40 grand for this. I didn't say this to them, but I only need to put in 40 grand for the deal. Borrow the 40 grand off them, 10% fixed return.
Yeah.
Gave it to the other person.
Yeah.
Paid the 10% back to the first person. When the refinance came in, I had to pay out
44 bags.
There you go, mate. Absolutely
So how much did you make in that
no
then?
money down deal. Well, I own them now. So
Oh, have you kept them and refinanced them?
Yeah.
Nice.
Didn't do anything.
So you didn't even
But
you didn't
James-
put money in, you didn't do work.
But James, no money down deals.
No, they don't exist.
They don't exist.
I bet you've dreamt it.
That's probably it.
I bet I've dreamt mine as well. You've dreamt, yeah.
That's probably it. That's probably it. So how do you find? I mean, literally just people coming to us. How do you find the deals that you're looking for?
Well, that is clearly network, isn't it?
It is network.
You know, you can't find that sat at home, sat on Rightmove. That is not going to happen. But that said, some of my deals that I've done joint venture, 2 of them have come from Rightmove. One I think I've spoke about before, which was sat on Rightmove for about 2.5 years, roughly, before we started making a move on it. So it just depends. I mean, you can find them anywhere, but you just got to know what you're looking for. They are everywhere.
I remember you telling me a few weeks ago, though, you found like a brilliant deal, and then there was the one next door was the exact same, but you found another deal, right? So you just passed that deal on to a friend. Mm-hmm. Right? Imagine if they'd got an investor alongside. Yeah. They'd be then me in that situation. They didn't find it. They didn't do anything. They got an investor in. Bang. All got done.
Yeah.
All got done for them. So I think if you do network and you're around people that are doing these sort of deals, get in the right environment.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. You've just got to be able to see the opportunity. Like I said, you've got to be able to bring the other thing than the money to the table, or you've got to be able to see the other thing.
Or you set the expectations. Like quite a few of my investors, I've just literally give them a 10% return.
Yeah,
but, mate,
are them days still here? Are people still doing that?
I think so.
If you want a 10% return, please reach out to me.
Do you know what? It depends who you're mixing with.
Yeah.
Now,
I suppose somebody who's super wealthy. 10%, it's fine. Whatever.
It's not someone who's they're not the people.
Really?
No, it's not the people.
See, I'd have thought if somebody just got 100 grand, they'd be like, I need this to make as much as possible.
I actually find the super wealthy are really cautious.
Tight.
Not tight, but they don't like giving up control.
Yeah.
So if they're giving you the money,
they'd rather leave it sat in bank.
They'd rather just leave it sat in the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than risk it with James Youel.
Yeah.
You know.
Rather than becoming a billionaire, you'll leave it sat in bank.
Yeah, exactly. I think people who are not really interested in property investing, but actually the sort of people who...
Is there people out there like that?
The sort of people who would invest in the S&P 500.
You invest in the S&P 500?
I put little bits in the S&P 500, yeah. I'm not investing in your deal.
So sort of people like you, is that what you're saying? So you're not going to invest in my deal? No.
Because I'd rather do my own deal.
Yeah.
I like to spread the risk, right? But
Yeah.
the sort of people who only invest in the S&P 500, or they have the money in a high interest account. You know, like your grandma.
You can't get out for 28 years. Or
Yeah. Those sort of things.
It's under the mattress.
Exactly. They're the people that are happy with a 10% fixed return.
Would you?
Do a 10% fixed return?
Yeah.
Mate, we do. We've got Samuel Leeds Finance.
Well, yeah.
And we are doing 10% fixed return.
Yeah. It's not.
It's about 12.
It's not difficult to be able to find a property deal though that you can pay somebody back 10% fixed return on, is it?
No.
I mean, I'm guaranteeing my investors a minimum of 50% on theirs. So 10%.
Yeah. But we actually get 12%. So our students, they're like, oh yeah, we'll fund their deal. We'll get 12% fixed return.
Really?
But we got...
I'm going to have to re-enroll to be one of your students again.
You should.
I'm going to do.
You should.
I'm going to come in with a tash on and some glasses. New guy.
Just come on with a wig.
I don't know anything. Can I join?
I'd be like, you were right the first time. So that is a brilliant way. Now, if you don't fancy, begging, borrowing the money, there's another way that you can do. A brilliant strategy. We've literally, right? I did a video about this. It's actually gone pretty viral on Instagram. It's had like 200 and something thousand views. And I showed a video of us at a hotel, and we've just secured a hotel for £1.
Seen it, yeah.
Right now, it's not technically no money down for a couple of reasons. First of all, you do need £1.
It's £1, exactly.
Right.
Don't count.
Doesn't count. All right, I'll shut up. I won't tell the story.
No, tell.
All right, so this is the story, right? And this is something called a lease option agreement. And you can do this on little houses. We've been doing these sort of deals for years. So we got contacted by the people who manage the hotel, actually. We were speaking to them, and they told us that the owner was looking to sell and were we interested. Now, the owners were Chinese, and they bought the property. It's a big hotel. It's like 28-bedroom hotel. They bought the property, and when they bought it, they obviously had to exchange their money over from China to England. But what's happened is the exchange rates have changed. So even if they sold it for what they bought it for, by the time they've got their money back into China, they've lost money. So they need to...
Does that mean our economy's got stronger than theirs?
It sounds like
or
it.
Or our pound has got stronger than their...
I'm not going to commit either way because I haven't thought it through. Now I sound stupid. I just know the facts of the story, right?
Because I thought their economy were booming, so I thought it had gone other way. But yeah, okay. Right.
So they had to sell it for higher than what they bought it for. So they were technically in negative equity, even though they weren't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they needed to sell it for 2.1 million. But the problem is, it had fallen in, they'd owned it for about 12 years.
What did they pay for it?
I don't actually know that figure. I just know their situation. So it had fallen in disrepair over the years. And the guy who was renting it, doing a Premier Inn type deal, he didn't have it in his lease that he had to repair it. So he wasn't repairing it. But they are like, we've already lost money on this deal. We ain't repairing. We're not sinking more money into it.
Yeah.
So it had gone into a bit of disrepair over the time. And this guy's lease had come to an end. And he was like, look, I'm not going to do this up. I'm leaving. Yeah. So they're a bit stuck.
How long did he have it for then? 10 years?
He had it for, I think it's been in a hotel for about 12 years. I'm not exactly sure how long they owned it.
Right. So he's earned a load of brass, ruined it. See you
later. So they're now a bit stuck because they either try and sell it, can't get what they paid for it and lose money. That's option one. Option two is they spend money on it, sink money into it, run it as a hotel, find a new tenant, but they don't want it. They just want out. Yeah. So they're stuck. So we said to them, look, how about this? How about we take it off you on a 10-year lease? We'll pay you the same amount you guy before was paying you, which is 80 grand a year. So pay you 80 grand a year, take it on a 10-year lease, and we'll buy it off you because we're going to have to spend money on it now to do it up, which we're not going to do when it's not our.
Where is it?
building.
Cambridge?
In Cambridge.
Yeah.
So we'll buy it off you for the 2.1 million that you need in 10 years' time. So we're £1 down.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're now paying 80 grand a year to run it. Right, but we're already we've renovated like 12 of the rooms. It's like fully let. It's like popping. So we're going to make money from it straight away.
Yeah.
Even with our pessimistic hat on, based on the figures and stuff we've done so far, we'll be turning over around about 750, 800 a year.
Nice.
So we're making a few £100,000 profit.
Yeah. I'm going to say we're
easily.
going in at about 300k.
Right. All you got to do is make let's say we make 200k a year for the 10 years.
You 120 up.
All we've got to do is put that aside, use that to buy the property at the end.
Yeah.
Bang.
Free hotel.
Free hotel.
Which in 10 years is going to be worth what?
Probably a lot more.
About 3, I bet.
Probably.
Yeah.
Depends what house prices do, but we see they go up. We'll have a history of it working as a hotel.
Yeah.
Just because we know how to manage, and we're not even doing it as a hotel because a lot of people go, "Oh, all the stuff you need for a hotel." We're converting it into an apart hotel.
Self-check-ins.
Self-check-ins.
Nice.
So all we need is it's basically just like having an apartment block.
Yeah.
For doing SA with it. Like
Have you seen the what Airbnb have released recently, or Booking.com, one of them?
Go on.
And they've got the door keypad entry. They've got that links up to I forget if it's Airbnb or Booking.com. I saw it this morning as well. And they've released a door handle with a smart code, links to your internet, links to the app. And it
awesome.
changes the code for you if they've got a late check-in. It only allows them a certain code, so it's constantly changing the code and sending it to the guest automatically. I thought that's an absolute genius idea, and I very nearly bought one for my several for some of my essays and for the HMOs recently because I was looking at them because Youel do a good one, but this one that Airbnb or Booking.com again, I forget, has released looks like a game changer.
Does it link with the other channels though?
Pass.
See that?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, because if it just links with Booking.com and Airbnb, I could probably accept that. But you want it to link with your channel manager, really, don't you?
Yeah.
If you get one that links with your channel manager, you are laughing.
You said an idea for an invention.
What?
I've got to go.
The same thing, but linking with a channel manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea of yours, that is.
Yes, I've just had a great idea.
You just thought of that. Well done. That's fabulous.
Right, I've got to get off anyway.
But yeah, lease options. I mean, if you've got, who you're looking for, you haven't even got to find an investor. You're just looking for people who are in a situation where they want to sell, but for whatever reason, they
I did something similar with one of mine. We were going to lease option, but we did a delayed purchase instead.
Okay.
So we took it on an 18-month delayed purchase. And we knew because we were up in the value of it so much, the investor put the money in for the refurb. We turned it into a large HMO. We've then put it onto a bridge because it's gone from C3 to C4. And then we'll put it onto a HMO mortgage immediately, which we're on with now. And then that GDV will pay off the investor. It'll pay for the house. And we'll end up with a free HMO.
It's amazing, isn't it?
But these deals do not exist.
No. These no money down deals, they don't exist.
We're just dreamers, Russell. We're just dreamers.
Well, we're just imagining it all. So there you go, guys. Hope you found that useful. They're the two best ways to get no money down deals. Lease options, study them. That's a phenomenal way of doing it, but also joint ventures, teaming up with other people. It is a fantastic way to get yourself started. If you haven't got any money and you want to get started in property, that is definitely the way to get hold of property. But I wouldn't rule out deal selling or rent to rent as well.
Combine them.
Well, a lot of rent to rent you can actually convert to a lease option.
Yeah.
You're doing it as a rent to rent,
Yeah.
and then you're like, look, you're interested in selling this?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't buy off you now, but what about in?
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah,
Straight
definitely.
in. Brilliant, guys. Thanks ever so much. Hope you found that useful. I'm Russell Leeds.
And I'm James Youel.
And we'll see you next week.